And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. And we're live, guys. Welcome to the Fighting Fit Show. Thanks so much for joining us and listening and choosing our channel. We know you could subscribe and listen to any podcast, so we appreciate you choosing us. Today I'm joined with the one and only Owen Ward. How are you, Owen?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Too? I'm great.
Two great lads. So basically, the reason I asked you to come on to the podcast today was just because, again, you joined us. When did you join us again?
Around October, November last year, 2019.
And that was in around the time we were just getting Kickstarters underway.
Yeah.
So you were one of the very first people to do the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And you hit your goal anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What was your total weight loss?
So I went from about 86 and I got down to about 75. So about 11 kg.
That's nice. That's 22 pounds for those who are not the best at maths or conversions. Times 2.2 is probably a little bit over 22 pounds. So it's savage. So well done. And what was the kind of approach like? How difficult did you find it?
Very difficult at times. Very difficult at the weekends, because the weekends you want to like reward yourself, and you know I always associate my rewarding myself and good times with, you know, having a few drinks or, you know, getting a thing of jellies or chocolate or anything like that and just stuff in your face, or going to the cinema and stuff in your face. And so that was very different. That was tough.
Yeah. Every
weekend. But then every single Monday you come in here 5:30, freezing your ass off, standing on the weighing scales, and you're like, yes.
It was worth it.
Oh, totally worth it, yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you have weight to lose and you're not kind of happy in yourself, or you want that change. Like I said, when you're in shape and you're healthy, that's the easiest part. But it's getting in shape. It can be, like I said, you're starting in debt, so you owe. So it's not like, you know, finding the balance isn't really a thing just yet, because the balance is, you know, you've already heavily tipped the scale one way, so you need to.
Yeah, and I think like it's named so well. It's like the Kickstarter, because like nobody, like Stephen and everybody, they never sort of said this is going to be sustainable. This is a Kickstarter. It's to shock your body into fast weight loss, and then, you know, you meet with the coaches and you develop a sustainable plan from then on. And it just worked. It really kickstarts your body. It shocks it into losing weight quite fast, and you stick to the classes, and just the support you get is incredible. So that helps massively. And I think that, and I've said this before, I definitely think like the January, the motivational sort of class, what was it called?
The Fitness Mindset Mastery, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Like I said it on Facebook before, but it changed everything. It changed my life, and people say, oh, that's a bit dramatic, but it did. Like I'd never sat down before and gone, think about your why. And when we did those levels of depth, and you say, well, why do you want to lose weight? And you think it's the first one, and you've always lied to yourself. Why do you want to lose weight? Because I want to look good on the beach. But then Stephen and you said, well, why? And then you go down, and then what? Well, why? And then you keep going down, and you get to the bottom, and you're like, wow, like I didn't think that was the reason that I wanted to do this. And like one of my favorite quotes is, you know, he who has a why can bear with almost any how.
Love it.
So you'll go through absolute hell once you have a why, and you know, the why for me was never what I thought it was. And once you actually find a why, you're like, wow, amazing, you know?
So like I said, and you need that powerful why, because it's going to come to a point where, you know, like you come to the weekend and it's, will I go to the cinema? Will I have a few drinks? Will I get some jellies? And then it's like, oh, why am I bothering? And that's the why, that's the answer. And if you don't have an answer for that, it's the simple questions to get people, it's the simple things to trip people up. It's like, you know, why am I doing this again? You know, why am I cutting out basically, you know, at least a fifth of my social life to get in shape and go to the gym and be shredded? You know what I mean? And like I said, if you have a superficial why, you know, you're going to get superficial results.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you just keep going back to that. And like when you're on December, January days and it's lashing rain outside and you're on a walk trying to get your 10,000 steps. I set 12,000 because if I underhit, I'd probably still overhit the 10,000. You know what I mean?
That's good shit.
You know, you'd be lashing rain and you'd be walking down that long road from sort of the Ballymascannon road, and I was getting lashed on, and you'd be wondering, what am I doing? And you'd always just think how good you'll feel when you're, you know, it's June time and you're on a beach somewhere in Spain, and you're like, that's what all the hard work was for. And it's not even to say, oh, look at me, I'm amazing, but it's just to go, I can pick up my daughter, I can walk down the beach with my wife, and I can be proud of all the work that I've done. So it's stuff like that I just keep going back to. You know, you're not going to be taking off your t-shirt on the beach going, because I did that. You know what, one of the big things for me was year after year after year, every time I was on the beach, I promised myself, I was like, don't worry, this time next year you'll be very proud and you won't feel ashamed taking your top off. And it's not that I was huge, I was never huge, but it's just that promise that I kept on making myself and kept breaking. I was like, had enough. Had enough now. And Fighting Fit was what is the catalyst that just went, you had to have enough, and you've been cheating yourself, and you know, you're not going to cheat us, we're here behind you. And that was huge. Like, brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's hit the nail on the head there, man. It's you know, it's kind of like, you know, nobody notices when there's not shit in the toilet, but it's not until you arrive at the toilet and there's a big log sitting there, you're like, what is this? You know what I mean? And it's like, but you know, it takes effort and maintenance to clean the toilet, but nobody appreciates it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody appreciates it. And it's literally that case. It's like when you're sitting there on the beach with your top off, you know, and you didn't do anything except for not a fitness body maintenance plan. You know, you didn't do anything, you just lived a normal life like everybody does, and unfortunately the weeds just grow.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a very good way of putting it.
This is it.
Because it does happen in the background when you're not expecting it. But it's also, just to that point as well, one thing that I think you or Stephen or Chris, one of you said to me before that made me go, wow, like, it's all of the tiny things that nobody else sees. And so when you see a boxer winning a boxing match, like, it's not all the big things that he did, it's not all of the, or she, Katie Taylor, massive fan, it's not like all of the big things or the big fights that they've had in the past. It's the tiny things. It's the lashing rain going for a walk to get your steps in. It's the, I don't want to get out of bed, but you know what, I'll just do it this morning. It's all those tiny little wins. They're the weeds, they're the weed killer, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. And well, it's like you said, it's like, if you go at the back and there's one weed and you're like, it's just one weed, and you go out there and there's just another weed, and it's like, it's only two weeds, you know, and then you do that for a week, and the next thing your back is overrun, and you're like, how? There was only one, you know what I mean? And this is it, it's just one at a time. You know, it's the same thing as brushing your teeth. You know, if you brush your teeth once and you look at your teeth before and after, it makes no difference. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you do that twice a day, every day for 3 years. Yeah. And you don't do that twice a day, every day for 3 years. There's a big difference. Massive. You know what I mean? And that's it. And people just don't understand that it really is the little things, and they don't understand it because I just don't think that anybody ever had to understand it, because you can literally live your life whatever way you want. Yeah. You can live, and I really do find that there is just two types of people. Like my girlfriend, my fiance now, she is one of them people. She just does the little things. I grew up, we never did them. Like, I mean, unless you were literally told and forced to do an acclamation of jobs undone together as one big job. That's kind of how we worked as a unit. Yeah. But in her house, that's not how it was done. It was always all the little things. Always just chip away at the little things, and you just have order all the time. Yeah. Whereas the way that we kind of grew up, it was chaos, big clean. There's the order, and then the weeds start growing again. And then once it gets too much, it's a big mess, and then we clean it again. Yeah. And it's really just the case of that's not a good method of doing things. You know, it works to a point. Yeah. But if there was a better way, I think that we'd all agree the other way is the better way. You know, you do smaller jobs more often. It's the lazy man's though. It's procrastination. You just procrastinate all the little jobs. Asher. I don't know. Has killed how many dreams? I know. Asher. It's only Asher. Sure. Look.
Or the snooze button. Snooze button's killed many dreams. I think.
But again, it's like, for me, I think the snooze button gets a bad rep because, like, I'm a snoozer. I will put my hand up and say I'm a snoozer, but I'm a planned snoozer. Yeah. Like, if I snooze, if I have to get up at 4:30, I set my alarm for 4. Yeah. And I snooze until 4:30. Yeah. I won't snooze. I don't get up until, like, I don't know I need to get up at 4:30 and then snooze from 4:30 and leave myself a rush. It's like, I know I enjoy a little reprieve in the morning, wake up, lie there, doze, switch on, switch off, 2 or 3 10-minute bursts of sleep, and I'm like, alright, okay, I'm ready to get up now. You know what I mean? Whereas I know people that pretty much do the same thing downstairs on the couch in the sitting room, except they get up. They get up first, they sit down in the sitting room, and they're like, oh, I just need to wake up. And to me, there's no difference. And for me, the boost of energy that I get with it is, I felt like I got a lion.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's because I know me, and I would be pretty pissy if I didn't get a lion.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's just my mindset, and I could probably work on changing that. But it works.
Yeah, that's your thing.
It works.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it's like I wake up and I'm in bad form because I have to wake up, and I'm like, oh, I'd rather just be asleep. Oh, okay, fine. You can have 3 10-minute intervals.
Yeah.
Every time you woke up, it's like, I just love 10 more minutes. I give myself 10 more minutes 3 times every morning, and then I'm up at 4:30, and it's no issue.
Yeah.
So that works for me. Yeah. And again, that's what it's really all about. It's about what works for you. And like I said, for some people, they have your old body, and they're after working for 5 years to get it, and they stand on the beach now delighted.
Exactly.
Because that's what works for them.
It's all relative.
This is it.
It's completely all relative. And I think that everybody, even if you just lose a pound or 2 pounds or something, you're going in the right direction. You're always going in the right direction if you're working at it, And that's another thing that this place has taught me. It's so much just take the little steps. Stephen always says, it's that progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just keep making progress. Keep going. And if you fall off the wagon, and I think you had a podcast on this or something, or you had a video, was like, don't fall off the wagon and roll off and start stuffing your face and then really screw it up. Fall off the wagon, fine, get back on. You know what, you ate 3 bars of chocolate and a few cans of Coke, that's it's fine. It's done. You can't change that. Back on and off you go again. So
it's the grand scheme of things. Like I said, it's like, look, I'm sure we've all done it, guys. If you haven't, fair play to you. I forgot to brush my teeth plenty of mornings. Yeah. There's plenty of mornings I went out the door and had to deal with just chewing gum. It's happened. Sure, it's happened to best yous. Some people are scrunching their noses up now at me, but this is what it is.
Don't go near him in the morning.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen often, but it's like sometimes there's a habit you're supposed to do and you just don't do it. And does that mean I'll never brush my teeth again now? Oh, I give up brushing my teeth for next week. It's like, no, it has to be done. And something that, my big vision, the big vision that I have, is that exercise is like brushing your teeth for everybody. For 100% of people in the world, they just understand that. I read a great quote. I love Instagram. It's just full of great quotes, and it basically said, movement's good for your body, stillness is good for your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And movement is just good for your body, and people just neglect that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And through no fault of their own, I talk to so many people, we've got, hundreds and hundreds of members have been through here, and literally at least 50% of them, if not more, have jobs where they are required to sit down for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Me included. Yeah.
That's and plus their commute to and fro, plus their lunch to sit down and eat their lunch, plus their dinner, plus maybe, God forbid, half an hour TV time in the evening. You know what I mean? Plus maybe if they're studying, they're sitting down reading a book. You know what I mean? Regardless, people spend 8 hours plus sitting down every day. That's not movement.
Because I have so I get the 6:30 train from Dundalk into Dublin, get off at my stop, go to work, back on the train, and I don't get home till 8 p.m. So I'm gone from 6:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. And I remember I came home before and I was sitting there and go, I wonder how many steps I got. I think I got 2,000 steps the whole day.
It's crazy.
It's just
and you went from Dundalk to Dublin.
It's
like 2,000 steps.
It's mad.
It is. It's pure nuts, and you don't realise how much. Like I said, it's the little things. People would literally just write off walking. It's just steps.
Yeah.
Asher, I'll not take the back of the car park, I'll just park right at the door.
Yeah. I actually park my car now on purpose. I park my car in Tesco on the outside part, as in way down, down near the washing machines now in the centre of town.
Yeah.
And I walk, because that might be an extra, 200 steps each way, rather than if you parked right beside the front door. I do that on purpose. And little
5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
And 4 weeks out, that's an extra half a day's worth of movement. Might not seem like much, but 52 weeks in a year, you've literally done, just with that small thing, you've literally done what? Somebody doing maths there, quick maths. Let's just say a rough 14 extra days worth of steps. Could be way off, guys. Apologies.
But that's another thing that Stephen says is do all the things, keep moving. Play with your kids. Go for a walk. rather than, you know, taking the lift, take the stairs. Tiny little things, they all add up.
Yeah, it's another thing I credit to Chloe. Like, I come back and, you know, sometimes I go for a run during my lunch, and, you know, I've got my own training with boxing and all that kind of stuff, and then I might do a session here, I'm on my feet all day here, and I go home, and Chloe's like, oh, do you want to go for a walk? And just because there's that little bit of a leverage there, it's like, you know, we go for a walk.
Yeah.
And that, it's just...
Exactly.
I could be on 10,000 steps, or I could be on 7,000 steps, and you get that extra 5,000 steps, and it's almost like, especially when you know, it's kind of like the what is it, the blue pill or the red pill.
Yeah.
You know, once you take it, there's no going back. It's like, once you know 10,000 steps is what you're supposed to be getting, and you're wearing a Fitbit and you're aware of it, it's like, if you get below 10,000 steps, like, I feel like shit now.
Yeah.
You know, I know I should have got my 10,000 steps. I didn't get my 10,000 steps. You know, and again, 10,000 steps, 7 days a week is 70,000 steps if you're getting them over a volume course of the week.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, if you literally can't help it, sometimes you can't help it, but, you know, it's like, if you have the choice of sitting on the couch and going for a walk, it matters.
But even like I remember Niall, God bless his soul.
I remember Niall.
Niall said, I wasn't saying I remember Niall. I remember Niall said like that sure, getting your 10,000 steps or 12,000 steps is like getting it's more calories than a workout.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people just think, I'll do my workout and then I'm done for the day. Get your 10,000 steps, your 12,000 steps. That's 2 workouts a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Brilliant way to look at it. Yeah. And then the other side of it is as well is, if you have to pick, you should probably pick your steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Depending on your goal.
Moving.
You know, depending on your goal. If your goal is fat loss, and we're talking calories in, calories out, your best bet is probably the steps.
Yeah.
If you're talking muscle building, and it has to be a choice, you're probably better off picking the weights. You know, so it's all goal dependent. So you were saying you work in Dublin. What do you do for a living?
I work in an aircraft leasing company. So we rent aircraft to all the large airlines all over the world. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I work in human resources, so it's basically, you know, making sure people are engaged. No, people always say you're fired, you're hired. No, we don't. You know, it's a fairly it's a really rewarding job in terms of you know, you get to meet loads of people, and you know everyone in the building. And you're keeping people engaged, and you're keeping that level of sort of job satisfaction. So it feels good from that point of view. So I love what I do.
That's class. That's important.
Yeah, it's class. It is brilliant. Yeah.
And how do you kind of juggle fitness or food, or what challenges do you face, and how do you beat them? And
so at the moment it's tough, and I was talking to Chris about this sort of goal setting thing, and it's because at the moment I'm driving to Dublin on Monday morning early and staying with my parents, because I'm from Dublin, so my parents live there, and I stay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I come home and work from home, which is as key 2 days a week. And it's that transition. So if I'm good for those 3 days in Dublin, and then I stop and I come out of a routine and I tend to mess up then, or vice versa. I've been in a bad routine in Dublin where I'm eating crap at work because we get like all stuff in the world for free that you want, and then, you know, then I go, oh, I better, you know, get back into my routine again. So that transition is tough. But like I was an excuse maker before Fighting Fit. You know, like, oh, I just don't have the time, or I just don't have the Fighting Fit comes along. Well, we do class at 5:30. So, you know, there's nothing you can already make an excuse like, oh, I don't have time. Well, what time is your train? 6:30. Well, could you do a 5:30 class? Yeah, I suppose I could.
Oh, but there is no 5:30. Of course there is.
Yeah,
of course there is.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you know, it's you know, you can always make an excuse, and that's another thing, you know, Fighting Fit just teaches you is you control all your reactions. So if something bad happens to you, you control whether you just pick up a packet of digestives and eat the whole thing crying, or you decide, no, not taking this, I'm going to something else, or you decide I'm going to take the 5:30 class, or you decide. So, you know, be more responsible for your decisions, and I think that's a huge thing that here has taught me as well. Like, there's so many little things that I've picked up from here, and motivations as well. That's another thing. Like, just like this family, you know, it's literally a family. Well, quite literally a family in terms of the owners, but then in terms of the members, it's like a family. Like, and even people I don't know, that I wouldn't know well, or that I wouldn't know even just to say hi. I might say hi to them, but in classes, like, the motivation that you get from just looking around is phenomenal. Like, there's all you guys, and like all the Mulligan, Sam as well, and Niall when he was here, you know, and then like, look at like some of the members just kill it every time you're in here. Like, particularly like you take motivation from, like, when you see some of the girls in here, it's like people like Lauren, me and Saoirse McDermott, Grace Smith, like when they're in the middle of class, they kill it, like, you know
That's
what I
it,
mean?
yeah. High
So
performance.
people like that, you just look at and you're just like, Jesus, you know, and it pushes you on, you know?
Yeah, I definitely know, just even as a coach, there's been plenty of people that have been training here that, like, I was kind of tipping away, and like I said, obviously, look, as coaches, coaches aren't perfect people. Like, we were growing as coaches and as people and as clients at the same time, and like, I remember, like, literally being inspired by clients and like, you need to pick up your game. Because like, there is so many people coming in here of all creeds and colours and shapes and sizes, and when you see somebody make that transformation, and then not only make the transformation, start progressing to maybe past where I am, it's like, that's so inspiring. You know what I mean? Just be able to see, like I said, that development, you know, that growth in somebody, and then obviously pair with that, as you said, the intensity that you see in their training, and you see it.
Like, I can remember, you know, I was having just a bad week, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, you know, I suppose, you know, and I started doing little things like walking there. I'm driving the bypass one day and I see Grace out walking. Then later I think I saw her running, and then I went to a class and I saw her at a class, and I'm like, sweet Lord, like, it's just the level of intensity and the level of dedication that people bring to here. But, you know, I'm sure they would tell you as well that they learned a lot of the discipline from here as well. And one huge thing, like, Chris does, and he'll laugh at me for mentioning this, but it's so funny, like, you know, I'd be in the middle of class, he did it this week, and you'd be doing something, and he'd just arrive over with a kettlebell, dump it, and grab the one that you've been using, he just goes, nah, you're not using that, that's nonsense. And, you know, like, I would never do that if I was on my own, or if I was with, you know, a group of friends or anything like that, but Chris is like, no, I'm not taking that from you. And I was like, I can't do it, and he's like, you can, because you haven't tried yet, so let's see, you know. So that's brilliant.
He's a hardy fella, that Chris fella. He's another fella. He inspires me all the time, man. He just, I don't know what it is, but it just, no matter what the heaviest object in the room is, he just picks it up, and probably picks up two of them. I don't know what it is, and then he started walking and doing his handstands. Man's got legs for arms, I keep saying.
I know he does. He's
he really does.
Every time you see him on Facebook as well, and he's with the right girl as well. The two of them are just like spiders coming around the place, like they're mad.
This is it. I know, it's madness, and it's so funny as well, because, you know, especially with Ashlyn, she makes stuff like that look easy because she's mastered it so well, and then you kind of see somebody like Chris, and Chris is so strong, and he's also got great mobility and all that kind of stuff, and you see him struggling and challenging, and like, for me, that's great to see as well, because you see him, I've seen him anyway, like, starting off, you know, doing a wall handstand, and now he can do a handstand by himself.
Remember when he was at that stage?
What is that?
You remember when he was just at the stage of just doing a wall handstand?
Exactly, yeah. It's just starting, I think I want to be able to do handstands. You know what I mean? And then he jumps up onto the wall and starts, and then he's walking around, and then he's doing handstands, he's trying to do splits up the top. You know, it's really, really cool. It's amazing. I think there's an awful lot to be said about watching somebody go through that stage of development. And like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're kind of just bad mouthing themselves, and, you know, just kind of talking themselves down, and, you know, like, it kind of rung true at me, because I was doing the same thing about myself, and then when I called them out in it, it was automatically like, if I could have just turned the phrase back at myself, you know, because it's literally just like, you know, it's like, do you even understand the way that you speak to yourself and how hard you are on yourself, given how far you've come? You know, it's like, some people, you know, I actually think I might have said it to you. You know, it's like, literally, like, you know, you've climbed a mountain and reached a peak.
You did.
That's so many other people, like, would have liked to climb, and have not only wanted to climb, have tried to climb, and had to turn around and go home. And then here's you standing at the top of that mountain going, I know, but, you know, it's not that impressive. You know, or it's not, I know, but sure, it wasn't that hard, or, you know, it's not that great. And that's such an awful thing to say about yourself, because you're supposed to give yourself credit where credit's due.
I know, and I said it to one of my family members before I was doing this. When you asked me after, I was like, I don't have that interest in, you know, a story, and they were just saying, you really do, because like, I've been in hospital 3 times for periods of 5 to 6 weeks each time for depression and anxiety. So actually hospitalised, like, that bad. And I've been on, you know, antidepressants for years now, and the fact that, you know, I've gone from somebody who in 6th year didn't want to do their leaving cert, didn't want to do anything, was panicking, hated themselves, like, had really deep-seated hate for themselves, didn't want to, you know, be living, and just had to be put into hospital because couldn't cope with everyday things. to go and, you know, and huge credit to my parents and my family as well, but, you know, having to go through those 3 different stints, and they were about 2 or 3 years apart, and keep fighting and going, then go to college, and then, you know, not being able to hold down the job because you'd be called in sick because you just feel so down in the mornings. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, geez, like, you have to give credit to yourself, you know, because you look back at that and you go, like, the last stint that I had in hospital was a long time ago now, so I feel that I've completely come out the other side of that. But I'm always funny because, like, I'm always saying, like, not that mental health is cool now, but it's not so stigmatized. But back when I, like, you know, I'm talking when I was, like, I'm 38 now, and I think when I started it was, you know, 16, 17, so you're talking like 20 years ago. You were, you know, a fruitcake if you were, you know, down or anxious or having panic attacks. Yeah,
what was the conversation at the time?
What do you mean? Like
if somebody had said, "Oh,"
people just didn't know. So, like, what are you doing in hospital? You know, I can't get out of bed. And neither can I. Like, and I'm like, no, like, as in, I will jeopardize and sabotage everyone and everything in my life so that I, you know, don't have to face the world. You know, like, I wouldn't eat for days. You know, I'd take huge amounts of painkillers on purpose, like, as in, you know, to take an attempt to my own life. I did that once before, and, you know, like, it's so tough, like, but, you know, and you say it to friends, they're looking at you, like, now if you said to someone, they'd be like, oh wow, like, you know, you're brave to go through that. But at the time it was like, I don't get it, what? Like, and my friends were like, you're going to hospital, so, like, will you be chained to the bed and everything? And I'm like, no, I'm not a danger to people. And you go into these hospitals, like, I was in St. Pat's Hospital in Dublin, and it's like a hotel. Yeah. Like, it's like there's no lockdown, there's no, like, you can walk out the door whenever you want. It's a private sort of, you know, it's, you know, so it's gorgeous. You get your own room and you have a TV and whatever, you know. So it's like, but it's so it's just the stigma has gone from that now, which is the best thing that could have happened. Like, we as a country are just so grown up. It's all, you get very proud of your own country. Yeah.
What about, just to kind of throw a spanner in the works, because I know it's happened quite recently. Your man Harry, was it? He was a big proponent of Dundalk FC.
That's right.
I think he actually killed himself. God rest him. And I think not too long before that, there was another young fella. Yeah. And the two of them apparently went up to seek help in the hospital, and they were turned away, essentially. So, like, what happened to you that you actually got admitted, or is the system different now? Or
maybe I was lucky with the family GP, because I went to a GP that was, you know, he's a very progressive young GP, and like, I have such vivid memories of the different things that happened, you know, when I was a teenager and going up through 20s and 30s, and, you know, I'd be going in and I'd be just crying, like, uncontrollably, just crying, and he'd be like, is he like this all the time? My mum, with him, she goes, he doesn't stop. He sleeps all day, which I was, sleep all day, watch TV, cry, fall asleep, wake up, maybe eat once a day, maybe, and then fall asleep and cry, and just repeat. And no one could stop the cycle, like, no one. And I think he just said, you can't live like this, because it was my parents. Imagine having, like, and it's only now because you have a son and I have a daughter, so you'll know, and people listening and watching will know that, like, once you have a kid, it changes everything, because you just sort of go, when you see them crying or upset or hurt in any way, it devastates you. Like, that's worse than anything. So I can only imagine the hurt that my parents were going through, and I think they were just at their wits' end. They just said, right, go to the GP, and the GP just said, you know, within 24 hours, I got a call from St. Pat's and said, now look, this is voluntary, so if he says he wants out, you know, he can walk. But I went in, and it was tough for the first week or two, and they put you on, like, they put you on medication to sort of bring you from a level way up here down to here, just sort of calms you down. And then they slowly taper you off any anti-anxiety medication, and you're going to classes and you're talking about it. It's pretty much like you see, you know, my name is Eoin and I'm an alcoholic, except it's not alcoholism, it's like, this is what I've gone through. And you meet amazing people, like, you meet some people who would have post-traumatic stress disorder. I remember there's a girl who turned over in the canoe, and she panicked so much that it really ruined her life. She was extremely down and panicked about everything from then. She couldn't drive anymore, it was post-traumatic. PTSD, it was absolutely awful. And then I felt awful, because it was like, so where are you from? Temple Oak, which is like a relatively nice area in Dublin. So do you have any, like, history of, you know, domestic abuse or anything? Nope. A great family. You know, are your parents still together? Yeah. You know, like there was no, I could never pinpoint anything particularly that happened other than I hated myself. I don't know where that came from still, but so there was no big thing that I went, that's what did it. It was just obviously my mind. I don't know what it did to itself, but it just That's so but like and to bring this back to nowadays, like Fight and Fit did more than it will know, more than it'll ever know, and people here and even people who I see working out here, you know, they give me inspiration, they keep me going, and it's the fact that it's a family. Working out keeps your mind off things that you shouldn't be thinking about, feeling good about yourself, having somewhere to like check on Facebook and you know little things and seeing what people are eating and being involved and all that. It just gives you that
community.
It's community and it's meaning, and I think meaning is so important. And you can have a million different meanings. Like I have, you know, my why, or like my daughter and my wife, who are unreal. But then you can have loads of other meanings, like, you know, giving meaning to like being part of this amazing family and Fight and Fit. And so it's class. Like here made this, because I'm not long in Dundalk, and I joined here not long after moving to Dundalk, and this has been like the best thing I've ever done. Yeah. And I couldn't advise like anyone moving to Dundalk should join Fight and Fit, because you just become part of this family, and you get to know people, and people are saying, you know, even like, can I get a painter? Yeah, I'll get you. Yeah, you know, on that Facebook group. Yeah, I know a painter. Or where can I buy this? And they're like, oh, there's a place down the road. People are just so friendly. Yeah. So much so actually that I went back to Dublin because I was saying Monday to Wednesday, and I was saying to my parents, I said, God, I was up the park there for a walk this evening. I said, you dubs are awful rude. You don't even say hello anymore. And he's like, you dubs? And I'm like laughing. I was only messing. But it's funny because everybody here, you know, walk by them and they'll say, well, you know, and I turned into a local because I'm saying, well, in the park in Dublin, and they're like looking down going, who is your man? He's mad. So it's just a great place.
That's cities though, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But then again, Dundalk town, I suppose, on the town. Yeah.
On the town.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I listened to an interesting kind of talk on, it was about grasshoppers turning to locusts.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, what happens with grasshoppers is when grasshoppers get into too high concentration in numbers, what happens is apparently that their legs start rubbing off each other because they're in such a close contact, and then essentially what happens is after so many rubs off the leg, the grasshopper's biology knows for whatever reason that resources are in high demand or in low supply. The population is so high that everything's in such high demand that they literally turn into locusts and start swarming. So they basically, that's when locusts swarm, is the grasshopper, and so the high population and high concentration of grasshoppers causes a physiological change in the animal. And I imagine people are something similar, you know. It's like, you know, it's like you start seeing all these behavioural changes in people, like when you're in a small town, people walk slower in a small town, you know, whereas in the city people literally walk fast. They're swarming. You know, they don't have time for anybody else to lose interest in, and it's all me, give to me, or take, not give. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is, because you do. It's very true. It's a good analogy, because you always adapt, don't you? Like, and you can even, like, I found myself, like, I lived in New York for 3 years, and you find you turn into a much harder person than you ever would be. You know, you just turn into this person that like start to give out when people walk slow, or you know, you start bushing through people and banging shoulders, and you don't apologise, and then you come back to Ireland and you do it, and people are like, oh, I'm so sorry, and you're like, oh jeez, I forgot I was meant to be nice here, you know.
Yeah, I suppose the thing is, like, as well as in a city, you're almost faceless.
Yeah.
You know, you're just another person. Whereas when you're in a small town, you're personally accountable, and I think when you're accountable and you're responsible for your actions, you turn into a better version of yourself. Whereas when you can be a little bit faceless and a little bit nameless, you know, it's like the mob mentality. You know, it's like people have done horrific things that they normally wouldn't do because they're in a mob. You know, and again, there's this psychology when you're part of a mob that when you're standing there by yourself, you never do. You know, like there's people that was like, there's a big scrap, so starts throwing punches and all this kind of stuff.
I've heard that in like, you know, fights where, you know, somebody's killed and they talk about, that's not me. Yeah. It's just like something took over. It's mad.
And it's like an exaggeration of peer pressure.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching another cool thing, and it was basically like this interesting channel called Minefield on YouTube, guy called Michael, and he basically did this cool experiment where he basically took this one person into a room with maybe 8 actors, and themselves. So there's 9 people in the experiment, and they're all taking placebos, and there was placebo obviously, so it was not psychoactive at all. People were taken down the line, and then going, okay, you're reporting any feelings? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all reported that they felt something, and then when it came to her, she was like, oh yeah, I feel something too.
Wow.
Simply just because of peer pressure.
Yeah.
So peer pressure literally caused her to believe, and then they talked to her and told her after, look, that was placebo. It definitely didn't work. Did you see or feel anything? And she was like, yeah, like I did. It's not that I lied. Like I made myself believe that was the case. She was almost like forced psychologically into believing this. You know what I mean? And that's like, people have no idea the effect that other people in your community that you spend time with. It's one of the reasons why I just love this place, because everyone's so friendly.
Yeah, they are.
It's like we got 4 friendly people, and then it just grew, and everybody came in, understood that was the culture, that was the vibes, and people just keep reporting this place is just super friendly. Everyone's really nice,
and and that's like it's the same like in HR and in where I worked, right? So that's what you want. You create a culture. And then people, when they join it, just accept, right, this is the culture, and I must adapt my way to fit in with the culture. And if you don't fit in, then you just find it's not for me, and that's fine, like whatever, you know. But yeah, you just find it's great. Like people are just so helpful and friendly, and you know, you have people in the morning that are like not morning people, but they become morning people because they meet the same people in the morning. It's a lovely place to be around.
Well, I take credit. I take a little bit of credit for creating that morning culture, because I faked it until I made the first. I was the first one to show up, and I was in pissy form, and I just faked on a smile, and after about 2 weeks, it was a real smile.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's just like, look, I can show up here and I can be one or two ways, and I really have full responsibility for pushing through the tiredness. Or nearly just indulging in my own bad mood. Yeah, you know what I mean. And that's really what it is. You're like, oh, I don't want to be here, and it's just it's this self-talk that we have. It's like, I'd rather be in bed, and it's basically you're on one side of the grass looking over the fence to the other side of the grass. You know what I mean? Whereas I know if I was stuck to the bed and I was sick and not well, I'd only be praying that I could get up at 5:30 in the morning. You know, and
and people pick up that off you. Like you can totally. At a 5:30 class, and you know, I used to go all the time, which I'm going to go back to once I start commuting every day, is like you can pick up on the energy of the coach. If the coach is tired or in bad form, like it's not that it puts you in bad form, but you probably give 90%. Yeah. But like when you see like you're so energetic in the morning, and Chris and Sam, when they take the classes as well, like you just feed off that then, you know, of course, and you walk out of here in a great form for the day. And it's
the same. I was doing a class here one time, a few times in the history that I've been here, and there's been a member that was in really bad form, and it spoiled the energy of the room. Yeah. Because and you try and pull it up, and it's almost like a magnetic pull. You know what I mean? It's like if I come in with a good positive charge, and my positive charge, and everybody else is on a minor negative charge, you're always going to switch on to me because my positive charge is so high. Yeah. Whereas if there's somebody who's got a bigger negative charge than I have a positive charge, it's just going to pull everything, and it just starts making this awkward atmosphere. And I remember just thinking that was so interesting. I remember just thinking, like, I know I keep trying to jeer and pull and go along, but it's like I said, you're in this kind of this weird environment where you're trying to create this energy, and energy is literally that. It's energy, you know. So if people are giving off certain energies, like it's not like that's a null force. That's something you have to contend with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, and that's basically kind of what I feel like I do for a living. In like it's like for talk's sake, like music. You know, if everybody's in shitty form and you put on a good upbeat song, good bass, good, you know, like that changes the energy. That's a factor, and it's one of the reasons why we play music every class, because that matters. Yeah. You know, it matters whether or not there's music bopping and all that kind of stuff.
And like you guys have. Like it's a level of responsibility as well. You're like, oh, thanks a million for putting that on, but you guys have a huge responsibility because, like, you have, and I'm not going to mention it, but like you have big gyms everywhere in Dublin, Dundalk, right? So where the coaches just go around and they just, you know, potter around and they have their classes for half an hour and then that's it. That's the only content they come. But like, you guys are like responsible for, you know, the mood, the goal setting, the quick tidbits on Facebook, the check-ins, everything. So like there's so much touch points, and Stephen always says, you know, that the selling point for the gym is that, look, anyone can write a program and then give it to you and just not pay attention to you anymore. But like for somebody to, you know, like my wife would know you guys would know your names from me talking about yous. you know, I'd come in here and I'd work out, but that's not my only touch point. I'd have you guys on Facebook. I'd have Chris as my coach, you know, emailing me going, how are we doing? Did you hit the goals? Haven't heard from you in a while. Are you a bit down? Are you all right? You know, and then you'd come in here, you know, 15 minutes. I love coming in here 15 minutes before class. Yeah. Because I sit upstairs, have a bit of banter or whatever that's around. Because that's like, you know, I don't have friends in Dundalk. I have, because, well, I wouldn't have time to hang around with anybody, you know, anyway. Yeah. But like, this is my community, and this is why I love coming in 15 minutes early, having a bit of banter, you know, a bit of...
I'm the same, like I said, it's like I literally have invited all my friends to come here because I don't have time to hang out with anybody. Guys, look, if you want to hang around with me, this is where I'm going to be from 5:30 until 3 o'clock, and after that then I've got a family, I've got shopping, I've got cleaning, I've got responsibilities to do. It's like, so like I said, it's like, it's great to kind of have that place that you can come in and you can have that bit of crack, and you can you know, get everybody hits their goals, everybody's on the same vibe. It's like, oh, you're having a bad day, look, that's 100%, no judgment, I get it, but let's try and sort it out, let's do the best you can. And it's something that Stephen, it's little things. It's like I said, it's a culture, you know, and this culture didn't happen overnight. It was literally a case of, you know, show up downstairs back before we had upstairs in the chiller. It was like the coach has to be downstairs chatting to people 50 minutes before the class. Why? So people enjoy bloody coming here. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And not only to talk shit, but to be genuinely interested in people. Yeah. Because like I said, it's like you coming here saying, it's like, you know, I'm not that interesting, or, you know, I don't have an interesting story. It's like, yeah, it's like if you pay enough attention to anybody's interesting.
That's,
you know what I mean?
So true. I learned that from listening to podcasts, like people that you just don't know, and then you hear their stories, these people we meeting every day, you know. Yeah. Like Lauren and Catherine and everybody that you listen to, you're just like, wow, you know, they've so much to say, and it's not like you've never paid attention to before. It's just you sort of come in and then you go afterwards, but it's lovely coming in now, and it gives you that, you know. Yeah, it's one of the great things I like about the podcast is like I can sit down and chat to you guys actually properly. You know what I mean? Not with an agenda. Yeah. You know, just literally just sit down and just like, you know, how are things going? Like, what is your experience here? How have you found it so far? You know, what is your story? What is your background? And not only that, we get to do it, we get to record it, and there's probably somebody listening who's in the same position, worse or better, and could take something like that and run with it for like yourself, Grace, Lauren, seriously, you've mentioned, came in unbeknownst to them, but see, was inspiring you. Like, I know Lauren probably like a little bit. I don't know Saoirse and I don't know Grace. I've probably said hello to them. But like, when they're in the class, it's like, oh, I better up my game here. Because like, and they don't know, but like, I'm looking at them going, they are killing it. And I'm like, you know, you'd be doing burpees beside them and you'd be like, okay, come on, you got to keep up here. You got to keep up. You know, so you just like, there's loads of lads like Benny as well, you know, is another inspiration. He's like, hammering away at the bags and everything.
Yeah, he's actually now gone full slog into, he's training for a marathon. Really? And I know.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Like, he's phenomenal.
It's class. And I think he's inspired Derek to run a marathon. Who else is running a marathon? There's a wee team of them. There's 3 of them. Right. And they've all decided now, well, this is what we're going to do. I think it's Peter Gallagher.
Oh, it could be. I think I've seen a few.
And basically, all them are kind of just now trying to run a marathon just off being here and knowing each other and inspiring each other. The only reason I ever ran a half marathon, and I've never shut up talking about the PB that I got in it since I did it, was because of 2 members here. Because they ran a marathon. And I still haven't run a marathon, but 2 of our members inspired me by running a marathon. Not only running one, like running 2, 3 or 4, and then did a quest run. And you know, it's such a nice place to be at, because it is small. It's not like you come in, you do your work by yourself, and no, you can. The option's always there. Show up 2 minutes before the bell goes, come in and leave straight away. The option's there. But like I said, there is that time and opportunity to talk to people and create that little bond and get inspired if you want. Like I always say, you know, lots of people come into that same market that you get inspired from by looking at certain people, and they're not looking for inspiration. But if you're looking for inspiration, it's all around you.
You'll get it. It's all around you. And it's just, but you'll get whatever you want from Fighting Fit. So if you just want a gym to kick your ass and you know, work you out and lose the fat, you'll get that here. If you want community, you'll get that here. If you want accountability, you'll get it here. Like, so. And the only thing that I struggle giving to people is a free pass. I do struggle with that. Like if somebody say, come in, I just kind of want to tip away. I find that so hard. I'm just not about that. I just want to push it. I want to push it. You know something as well that's a policy of this gym that like wrecks your head sometimes, but it's possibly the best thing that you do is the passes, the number of passes. A certain amount of passes. If you miss the class, tough. You don't get that pass back, and I think that's great because it's, again, this is something that this gym does that nowhere else does. It's like, No, you know, you sleep it in, fine, but you do that enough times and you're gone from that class, or Stephen will have a word with you, or whatever will happen. And like, I'd never seen that level of accountability. And at the start, it can really go, God, they're quite aggressive with the old, you know, and you're like, but then what it does is it teaches you that, well, if you book that class, you better go to that.
There's repercussions to your actions.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah,
that's it. And like I said, it's like something again. That's one of the things. It's one of the things Stephen's fantastic at that I would have been absolutely terrible at when I first started. Was just like it's like telling people, no, you've told the line here now. You know, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Sorry, unfortunately, X. You know what I mean? It's like it's not appropriate. Telling people no, or just being that little bit blunt.
Yeah.
You know, I just find it so hard to be blunt with people. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, right, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I said, and that's one of the great things, kind of with the pass system as well, is like, it's like I don't have to be blunt anymore. There's a system there.
Yeah, it's a system, and if you, exactly.
It's not.
You only have a certain amount, so if you do that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's
look, I you know, I can't. One of the main reasons why I said I'd come on this podcast was because, like, what I've gotten out of this place and like what you guys have given me is just like over and beyond what I ever imagined I could have gotten from here. So it's like, this is the least I can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, delighted to be able to sort of
give
tell
back
my story. Yeah,
brilliant. I just kind of a little bit on that, because I think the fact that you've kind of suffered so heavily with depression and stuff like that, and you are now, from like what I describe, from at least what I see, you know, so positive and, you know, so motivated and driven. I'm sure not all the time, just like Saul, you know, we all have
not all the time, and I would say actually, and I don't want to belittle this, by the way, right, because this I want to get this across. I am on less medication since January, and I definitely, it's 100% fighting fit. Or at least it's the behaviours that Fighting Fit have taught me. I've been on less medication than I was for the previous 10 years.
Yeah.
So I've come down in medication and at the antidepressant. And that says a lot to me, because, and it was tough, but because I learned these behaviours, and because I learned that you don't sleep in the morning, and action is the enemy of thought, and, you know, stick to your plan, trust the plan, you know. And that was one of my mantras that I kept on saying to my head, because I think you had said it to me and Chris had said it to me, is just, or not even the plan, the process. Trust the process. You know, like, yes, you'll hit plateaus every now and again, you'll fall off the wagon, I keep saying eating packet of digestives. I did that before. And
I was trying to go with myself.
And you know, you can, that stuff does happen, no matter what, that stuff happens, but trust the process. If you stick to the process, if you do your 4 workouts, like I have certain things that I tick off. So 4 workouts a week, drink 2 litres of water a day, get my 12,000 steps that I set for myself. Like little things like that if I do these every day and I repeat those behaviours, I will lose fat, and I know it. So I don't have to do any more than that, but I know that if I do that, and so the fact that for the first time in like 10 years I've come down on medication since I have been here. And it's not solely, I'm not saying that working out is a panacea for depression. It's not. It certainly helps. But behaviours that are taught at Fighting Fit, which is different to any other gym. You won't learn behaviours in any other gym. You'll learn good technique or whatever. But it's behaviours that this place teaches you.
It's coaching.
Yeah, completely. Life coaching, physical training coaching, goal setting, all that sort of coaching. And it's what your older brother has taught you guys, and what you guys teach each other all the time, and the pushing of each other, and you know, and the 2 wonderful people you brought in Sam, 3 now, Sam, Niall and Aisling. Like they have the same drives and the same passion to keep people moving forward, and the same passion to keep people positive and happy. And you know, you just don't get that elsewhere. So that's a huge thing, is behaviours, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. And what like major breakthrough do you have? Because I know depression is just so rampant now in like today's society and culture. Because I don't know, I can't actually finish that sentence. I don't know why. You know, it just seems to be. I do think a loss in community has to do with it. Like you said, when you go to a big city, you know, everyone kind of has their head down, ignoring people, just being a little bit ruder. And I do think that as much as people like to think that they're introverts, you know, like me included, I'd be a big introvert, but I have that social element met through so many automatic areas of my life, where some people don't have that. And I think you know, physiologically and psychologically we need it.
Well, we do. We are social beings, you know. Like I'm people don't believe it a lot of the time, but I'm introverted, and the official sort of definition of introverted and extroverted is people that are introverted get their energy from being on their own and being in quiet isolation sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then people who get their energy from being around other people are extroverted.
Yeah.
And I certainly get my energy from being on my own,
Yeah,
or being,
same.
you know, lying down, reading a book, listening to a podcast, whatever it is. But like you said, like Sydney, like I was my worst. I was probably at my lowest point in New York when I was living there. And it's funny because it's the busiest city in the world, and it's the most densely, well, one of the most densely populated cities in the world. So there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
Yet, well, I was at my lowest.
Yeah.
So the more it's, you know, yet now I'm living out in Johns Key, and I'm in a small town, but I'm happier than I've been in years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just shows you like that. It's the right surroundings. It's, you know, like my dad always said, like happiness is not a place. You know, it's certainly it's a state of mind, and I know a lot of people think that, and I truly believe that because, you know, once you put yourself in a, you know, you can be miserable, and you think, oh, if I was only there, I'd be happier. If I was only in Spain and a bit of sunshine, I'd be happier. If I was only, but like that's not true. You'd just be miserable in the sun, or you'd be miserable somewhere else. And I think if you surround yourself with the right support, the right people, you'll be, you know, you'll find happiness. And I think one of the most important things for me was learning to, and I did a CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. That was one of the things that sort of broke the cycle, because my cycle was I had sort of depression from, you know, self-loathing and from body dysmorphia, and I still struggle with that to a certain extent. You know, like I wouldn't have great eating. I wouldn't have had great eating habits. I would have sort of binged a lot, and then absolutely hated myself for the rest of the week, and then binged, and then hated myself for the rest of the week, and that cycle would have gone around and around. But cognitive behavioural therapy like taught me so many things. Like, you know, I never used to wear t-shirts because I thought that I looked terrible in t-shirts. It was just a weird thing. And it's sort of exposure therapy, so like where you wear a t-shirt for 10 minutes and then you diary how you felt.
Yeah.
You get uncomfortable with it. You get really uncomfortable with it, but then you sort of realise, okay, I can do that. Like,
you face your fears.
Yeah, you do. You absolutely face your fears. It's deeply uncomfortable type of therapy, but you know, and then like things like when my daughter came along, you just stop caring about like little, like smaller things. But yeah, I think what stopped it was that cognitive behavioural therapy. Challenging my own thought process, you know, being like, you know, well, what, like, you know, you're ugly, okay, fine, well, how many girlfriends have you had? X. So you mustn't be the ugliest person in the world, okay, fine. You know, and then you're like, okay, well, somebody gave you a compliment before and you hate that part of your body, why, you know what I mean, whether it's your nose, your teeth, your lips, or like everybody has something about their body that they hate. Yeah. But like if you just challenge that, you know, like I remember one of my doctors says, has anybody ever said to your face like you're an ugly person or you're an unattractive person? Like, no. And I said, so if you were to talk to somebody else and you asked them that question, they hated themselves or thought they were ugly, would you say that there's zero evidence to prove that they were ugly? And I was like, yeah, of course I would, because there's zero evidence. And they're like, well, right back at you then. You know, you're just filling yourself with this cycle. And I'm like, yeah, but it's constantly, you know, thinking of, is there evidence to prove XYZ? Not really. And you just keep it going in your head.
And where do you think like the attachment, like, because I suppose like where do you say something and you attach with it and you identify with it and then you go with that?
In what way? In
like for talk's sake, like what is the tendency? Two thoughts come in. You know, one's, "Jeez, I'm awful good looking," or the other one, "Jeez, I'm an ugly git."
Yeah.
Like why did you attach to the self-loathing thing? Like why do we keep attaching to the negative? Like I know for myself, it's like a lack of belief. You know, it's like I want to do something. It's almost easier.
I think as well, I always compare myself to my brother. So I had a younger brother who was like particularly good looking, and I remember that everyone used to like, so he'd be always the one that would be in, they'd always say, oh, he's like a real good looking guy, or he'd always get these gorgeous looking girls in school or or secondary school or whatever. And you know, if there was ever, you know, something like a fashion show or anything, joking around and skip him, or you know, he would always be the good looking one. And I think even though he was 4 years younger than me, I remember just being, why can't I be more like him?
Just a little bit of comparison.
Yeah, I was always like, why can't I look like him? Like, he's such a good looking fella. But you know what? He has issues himself. You know, like he struggles with stuff all the time, and but yet But
that's it. I think that pretty much answers my question there, which is essentially, it's like all you need to do to make your pedestal look small is to pick a higher pedestal.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
100%. And like, I think it's very important to compare. Like, do you remember I was saying like what that Stephen always says? like progress, like just know that you're making progress, not perfection. Like just look back on where you were. You know, don't look at somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, so I got obsessed with like
exactly, yeah, because then you're looking at smaller pedestals and you seem fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like if I'm looking at like lads with six packs and that's what I want, it seems so far away. But if I look at a picture of myself the 10 weeks before I started, the 12 weeks before I started the Kickstarter, I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the stuff that you should be looking at. Compare yourself to yourself.
Well, I think they're both useful.
Oh no, they are.
Because for talk's sake, here's
some people react to, you know, that's my goal.
Exactly.
Some people just say, and that is a great motivator for some people. But you need to be in the right mind frame.
Of course.
That's what I think.
Exactly.
You know, if you're in a bad place and you're looking at what you don't have, and what you could be very bad for you. But
it's like one of my favorite quotes. I think it was Aubrey Marcus said it. Every medicine at a certain dose is a poison.
So true.
You know, so it's like, you know, if you pick a goal and you pick a goal so extraordinary at the wrong time, now you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, now you've literally left yourself overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you know what it is? I want to start hill climbing. Mount Everest. Oh, okay, good shout. Yeah, okay, maybe not Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Maybe the hill down the road. But my friend, he climbed Mount Everest. Well, you're not your friend.
Yeah.
And I'd say, again, it's just having that little bit of cop on, you know, to literally say it. And again, it's they're tools. So it's like, you know, I do it all the time. So I literally will look far down the road, like nearly every morning. Every time I get up in the morning and I'm not feeling it, I will literally just have this. Somebody said to me once that there was these girls in India, and because of the hygiene system over there, because girls menstruate, they literally couldn't shower and therefore couldn't proceed in education. That's where they're operating from.
Yeah.
So they literally are, because of just their bodily functions, are at such a disadvantage because of the society and culture they're in. It's like, and then if you want to go even further down the road, you know, I'm sure girls in Africa in that exact same situation, but starving to death, no water, you know, disease, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's as far down the road as I look. So every morning when that's where you start, you're literally automatically Buzz City. And then the next thing is far down the road, you look at, you know, Gary Vee, Joe Rogan, Jocko Willink, pick your idol, whoever it is, and you say, okay, that's the target. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick appropriate distances in between when I need them. I'm going to look way back there when I feel low, and I'm going to way back there when I feel like I'm getting too big for my boots. Yeah. And it's just about knowing when to use each one.
And like I was saying earlier on, like I have motivators. So like one of the people that inspires me like every day is my dad. You know, like just massively inspirational. Very quiet man, but like so intelligent, like super smart, calm. Will always like, you know,
wise.
Wise. And then when I look at other people, like, you know, there's a girl in work who just always, and I have two people in the world that I know like this, and I'm always in awe of these people. They will always see the positive in people. So everybody else can be bitching about them, or they could have been mean to that person, but they'll always say, but maybe they were having a bad day. But maybe what he meant by that was excellent. And you're like, how do you always see the positive in people? You know, and it's a gorgeous trait. And then, as I said, motivation from people in the gym, motivation from you and Chris and Steve and Niall, Aisling, Sam. You know, like everyone just, at different times, I always look at different people for motivation. And you get that little bit of what you need, you know.
Yeah, and it's a clever move, you know, especially like even in here, just like a kind of, you know, a smaller version of that exact same thing. If I'm here working out, normally there's two people. There's someone doing better than me and there's someone doing worse than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I like both. Yeah. I like having both of them here. I find both of them equally useful. You know, I'm passing you out. Fantastic. I'm great. You're kicking my ass. I'm going to chase you. Yeah. And that's so important, just to kind of have that little bit of give and pull, because you need that. You can't think, Jace, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, because you're not. Yeah. You know, because no matter, like, you know, like there's somebody here who I am heads and heels better at fitness, and for whatever reason, financially, they are smashing my ass. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then, you know, not only are they smashing it financially, all their family relationships are on point. You know, they're old friends they have such great connection with, but they just struggle in this one area of fitness. Yeah. And if we were to pick and compare on fitness, I'm a better person than you. You know, if we were to compare cars, you're a better person than me. Yeah. You know, if we were to compare girlfriends, your girlfriend's hotter than mine, or my girlfriend's hotter than yours, or you've got bigger biceps, or you've got bigger feet. You know, whatever it is, like, who cares?
But there's always, I guarantee you, like, that no matter what, you know, the richest person in the world or whatever, or whoever this third person you're talking about is, like, guarantee you they look at you and go, oh man, like, you know, with his gorgeous wife and gorgeous little kid at home, and he's always in such a positive mood, and look at it, like, great body, great physique, always. They're probably so jealous of all that.
This
you know
is
what I mean?
it.
Like, so
This
you
is
just
it,
don't know what people are.
Or then the other thing, you know, age.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
this guy,
he's got another 10 years
this
ahead
is
of
it.
me.
I traded all for another 40 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, it's like there's a quote now, obviously, look, especially talking to yourself, it's fantastic. It's really eye-opening to kind of just talk to somebody just saying, look, I was really in the depths of depression. I didn't have any idea as to why. I think that's so interesting. And then there's another kind of counter quote to say, but not that, like, because I think that's so interesting, because for me, this quote was so useful, and to you at the time, it would be so useless.
Yeah.
But it was a quote, and it's basically said, you know, people are as happy as they make up their mind to be. And I think, like, stuff like that, like, I seen another thing that said on Instagram again, and somebody was kind of complaining about the no excuse culture. And I really like the no excuse culture, because that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I think that talks to the general population, and then there's always people who at the extreme. And, you know, if you're at the extreme, I think, you know, it's like you're an exception. And obviously, what the conversation that the culture is talking about is talking about the culture, not specifically about you. So if I was to say to you at the time, come on, Owen, you're only as happy as you make up your mind to be, don't give me any excuses. Oh no, my God! Like, it would literally be so overwhelming and so insulting and so unhelpful.
Yeah. But
to me, in my situation, but like, look,
perfect sense.
You're only as happy as you make up your mind to be. Like, look down the road, there's somebody way worse than you. Look up the road, there's inspiration there for you if you want it.
Yeah.
And don't give me any excuses on your way. It's like, oh, okay, you know. But for somebody who's literally biochemically depressed for whatever reason, it's not useful.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's like, I think I put up a post there not too long, well, a good few months ago, when I got a few messages about it on both sides. People basically saying, I can't believe you posted that, you know, it was so disrespectful and so rude. And I had other people saying, fair play.
What was it? Was it about? No excuses?
It was something along the lines of no excuse. I think it was something like, you know, the reason that you haven't got your beach body is not because of COVID, it's because you're lazy.
Yeah.
And essentially, it was like, how can you say that? You know, we were having a really hard time. And it's like, okay, I completely understand that, you know, but maybe this message wasn't for you.
Yeah.
This is for somebody else.
I know.
These are for the 10 people who
are lazy.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah,
you know, I'm
yeah,
going to kick them the arse for that. You know, and some people need that. Some people need a hug and a kiss and be like, told, look, you're doing great. I understand everything's really hard for you. And you know what you did? You got up out of bed and you did 8,000 steps, and you know what? I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And there's other people who say, you did 16,000 steps, you hit your macros, and you didn't make your workout. Pick it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're outperforming in every single way, but at the same time, you still need a kick in the ass. You know what I mean? And that's just, people are so different, and it's so interesting to kind of get to sit down with different kind of people and just kind of have a chat, and people come in all walks of life, and I'm always learning about people, and it's so interesting. It's one of the reasons why I love my job, is because it's always changing. Like, every single day, like I've dealt with so many people on different stages of their life, and I've dealt with some people on the early days, and I needed a good kick in the ass, and then later on you gave them the same kick in the ass and they buck back, and you're like, oh right, okay, you know, I got that wrong, or you know, at least they'd. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting. It's so dynamic.
I've always wondered, how do you feel about people that? Because I know that there's one gym where they just sort of, that no excuses is taken to the limit, like really, where they basically say, look, you've been coming to me for 2 years, and you're the same size that you've been on day one that you are now. I mean, there's two ways of looking at that. There's one way you go, and I think that this person said, look, I can't do any more for you, so I think you should move to a different gym. Yeah. Like, that is tough love, right? So, and you know what, part of me agrees with it, and then part of me is like, wow, just let this person have their own journey, and maybe there's 1,000,001 things going on at home. Yeah. So
what you're dealing with there in that case is you're dealing with a couple of different things. Is one, you're dealing with a frustrated coach. Because what coaches do is, like, when a coach looks at somebody, well, for me, I can only speak for me, but you know, when I look at somebody, I see them and then I see their potential. And to literally see somebody show up and give some subpar to their potential is so frustrating, because it's coming from a good place, because you want the best for them. And then at the other side is, for me, I've been in that same situation, and I've came close to literally telling some people to walk before, and the only reason that I even came close to doing it was because they're getting injured. Yeah. Like, if somebody, like people think exercise is a given. They think it's easy, or they think that they should just be allowed to do it and just eat shit and whatever like that. And you basically get injured. Like, this is not it's not kid gloves. You know, it's like when you're deadlifting and you're kettlebell swinging and you're doing clean to press. Like, I'm sure you know somebody who gets injured sleeping.
Yeah.
They wake up with a bad back or a creaky neck, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to lift 20 kilo or 10 kilo, and you're not going to look after yourself, and you're not going to do the right nutrition. It's like, you know, maybe although you're a wonderful person and although you really want this right now, for whatever reason, you're not incorporating this as a whole as it should be. Therefore, maybe this isn't right for you right now. You know, maybe what you should do is you should take up a less intensive exercise regime. Maybe just go for a walk, because really what you are not doing is you're not giving your body what it needs to respond to the training that you're doing at the minute. And what that's doing is actually doing you more harm than good. And then maybe from that specific example you give, that coach might be allocating resources to that person and it's falling deaf ears.
Yeah.
Where that 5 minutes could be given to somebody who actually would listen and actually want it. Like people like, for talk's sake, yourself, who you don't need to give information for, because you're literally sitting there like a satellite, trying to take as much of it in as possible. And then there's other people, it's like trying to get a square peg in a round hole, and you're shoving it and squeezing it and kicking it and slamming it, and it's just not going in. And I know for myself, I fell in that trap, whereas like I had this kind of saying, it's like, I'm going to get people in shape this year even if it kills me. And it nearly wrecked me because I was just so fatigued, because it's just so frustrating, because you can take a horse to water and you can't make it drink. You know what I mean? And I literally was lying in bed the other morning. I did a post about it where I was just sitting and I was like, what am I supposed to do about these people? Like, they literally are there. I'm doing my best. I'm messaging them. I'm trying to motivate them. I'm creating content specifically for them.
Really good, by the way, though. That content, like even for me, like, who may not be the person that, because I remember there was one that was like, if you have a lot of weight to lose, you need to listen to this. If you don't have a lot of weight to lose, you can tune it. And I was like, well, I don't have a lot, but I still want to hear what he has to say. But even like little things like that, so I definitely think you should keep that up. Because
the other side of it is, no, I definitely would, but it's just, you know, when you don't see it fall on the right people who maybe you have in mind when you're thinking of it. But like I said, exactly, it's great, because one of the things that I realize, like, although, and this is the great thing about kind of being a little bit humble, although you might have heard everything before, it's no harm in listening to it again. Like my favourite books, I've listened to 2 and 3 times. And I've listened to them on purpose at different periods of my life, because I'm like, I know I thought I got all I could get out of it that first time. But if I listen to it again, I'm going to be looking at it with the old knowledge applied, and now that stuff the stuff that I didn't even register the last time, like the stuff that I didn't register the last time because I was looking at for other stuff, now the stuff that I heard the first time I won't register, I'll be listening to other stuff because it's not applicable anymore. Or even one of, again, Stephen's quotes is, people don't need new information, they just need reminded. You know, it's like, very true. I literally say again and again, I find myself, did you track your food? You know, so we literally have like 4 things I say to everybody. People are like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Did you get your food? Did you get your steps? Did you hit your workouts? Are you sleeping? Are you drinking enough water? That's literally my job. Shoulders back, chest up, knees out, feet straight.
Knees out.
You know what I mean? That's like this, and this is literally it. And it's like, I just do that on repeat again and again and again. And I see it in class. I say at the start, all right, guys, we're going to do a deadlift. All right, square your shoulders, keep your eyes in neutral, keep your chest down, keep your core tight, keep your feet straight, open your knees, create some torque on the floor, squeeze your butt, and then I will say that 10 or 6 times again, and every time I say it, I'll see somebody, I forgot. Because it's so much information, and I think people get a little bit cocky in life and in exercise, and they think, you know what it is, I got this. They come in like McGregor, swinging the bloody arms, and it's like, look, one of the reasons McGregor can go in and swing his arms like that is because he's a master at his art, and then only took Khabib to come in and put him on his ass because Khabib was a master at a different art, which was wrestling. And it's just exactly that. It's like, in order for you to come in swinging your arms, I would never swing my arms like that in relation to fitness, diet, or anything like that. And I'm a coach because it's like, I feel like I'm a coach because I'm passionate about helping people, not because I'm a master, because I'm only doing this 5 years. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll come in and I'll be like your dad, and I'll just be quiet and calm and reserved, and has that little bit of wisdom. Maybe when I'm 40, I come in swinging my arms, because I think that I know it all, and then you get a little bit humbled and stuff. But I think you can never know enough, and you can always be reminded.
I like, that's when you stop learning. That's when you know, like, you're doing something wrong, because you can always learn. Well, I learned from people. Like that's what I love about my job is I learn from other people. You learn from other people. I think it's so important to pick everything. Just keep picking information.
Yeah.
Whether reading books, listening to podcasts. I love quotes as well.
I love quotes.
Yeah, Stephen is a gas man for the quotes.
I swear
he soaks it all in.
He doesn't literally rarely speaks full sentences. He just speaks in quotes.
It's working.
It's odd, but it's amazing because it's like, you know, it's like you can't bring a horse to water. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make a drink.
Yeah.
You know, so we both know how deep and how like universal that is. It's like, but you can just squeeze it in a little bite-sized chunk, and it can be applicable to so many different situations. And I think it's just like it's refined wisdom.
Yeah.
It's like what do you call it? It's like a myth. Jordan Peterson talks about myth and basically says it's the best bit. There's no fat on it. It's just the leanest bit that you could get. Give me one sentence, make it punchy, make it impactful, and make it memorable, and that's there. Yeah. It's like that's a home truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, I think, one of the reasons why, you know, like you look at Instagram and it's full of quotes.
Yeah.
Because that's what people take in information. We don't want to read big, airy, fairy, fluffy things. It's like, boom, horse water, can't make a drink. Yeah, moving on.
Got it.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think, look, we're running out of time. I think people are starting to show up. I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to have a chat with you. It's great because I've heard everybody else and they've inspired me. So, and thanks so much to you and your family, and then the other guys who are here. Just everyone's amazing. So anybody that's listening to this, just give it a shot. You won't regret it. So. Much
appreciated, Owen. And I always just kind of finish on this, just really quick. Do you have any advice? Just again, maybe even a quote, but if you want to go a little bit longer on a quote, what advice would you give to somebody who is in your situation, maybe in a worse situation or a little bit better situation, but they're sitting there just tongue out waiting for some inspiration?
Find your why. Like, find your why. So that quote, he or she, but it was he in the quote, he who has a why can bear almost anyhow. And that was a quote from somebody who was, you know, in a concentration camp in Auschwitz. So because he had a why to live for, he could bear anything that went on during that. So I think it's so apt. So find your why and go deeper. If you think your why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to be this person? Why do I want to do this? Find out the why. But then ask yourself, okay, now I have a new why. Find out the why for that. And keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually you'll actually get to the real why.
So basically that tool is called 5 levels deep, guys. Yeah. And basically what you do is exactly that, but you do it 5 times. So first off is, I want to lose weight. Why? Because I don't like the way I look. Why? Because I always feel judged when I'm going to town. Why? Because people don't accept people who are higher body fat percentage. Why? Because people in general see it as unhealthy and poor habits. Why? And you just go on like that until you get 5 levels deep, and hopefully by the end of it you've got 4 or 5 good reasons, and at the end one very, very impactful reason that will hopefully be a higher meaning to yourself and obviously for everybody as an individual.
Yeah,
all right,
that's it.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much for the knowledge bombs. Thanks for joining me, guys. As always, this has been the Fighting Fit Show. You've been the listener. That's been Owen. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your attention. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.